Hi babes, how are you? My name is Moran and today we are trying something just a little bit different, and that is we're gonna be looking for the asshole of the month. I've got here a shitload of stories from Am I the Asshole and adjacent subreddits. I have my own personal scale of assholery developed to rate them. I might be doing this every month. As you can see, I'm extra comfy here because it is hella cold in Paris today, and I hope you're comfy too. So without further ado, let's start. I'm gonna explain my scale to you first, and then we're gonna go read some stories. So it's very simple. There's 5 levels. One is soft. It's for those stories where you're like, yeah, this person is kind of an asshole in this situation, but there are a lot of ameliorating circumstances and stuff like that. Then we have yikes. It's something that, not catastrophic, not terrible by any means, not that serious, but it still makes you feel like icky and I would not want to hang out with that person. Then we have basic, so your standard assholes. Like, this is a broad category, average asshole. And then we have huge. Huge is, well, for huge assholes, for people who do some up stuff. And then the last one is evil. Those are the people where it's like, send them to jail for this. That's basically it with the scale, and let's dive into the stories. The first one we have is, am I the asshole for skipping my own surprise birthday party once I found out it wasn't really for me? I have never been big on birthdays. Don't get me wrong, I don't hate them, I just prefer something low-key. Dinner with my closest friends, maybe watch a film, something small basically. Everyone close to me knows this, especially my sister. Let's call her Maya, who loves big gestures and believes every birthday or achievement needs balloons and a theme and much more. 2 weeks before my birthday, Maya started acting strange. She kept asking me if I'd be free that Saturday and acted weirdly when I asked why. I suspected that she was up to something, so I told her again that I didn't want a party. She just laughed and said that as per usual, I was being no fun. A couple nights ago, the night before my birthday, one of our mutual friends let it slip about it being a party. She mentioned what she was wearing. Anyway, turns out the whole family was invited and it was at our parents' house. Some co-workers were also invited, but here's the kicker. My ex. For a little context, me and ex broke up about 2 months ago. It ended pretty badly. No abuse or cheating, but it wasn't a pleasant ending. I've made it pretty clear to everyone in my life that I want no contact. Maya knows this. However, she told me multiple times that I should just get over the whole situation because he's a nice guy and that he's been a part of all of our lives for years. The first thing that I did was call Maya, demanding answers, and she didn't deny it. She just said that we could finally talk it all out. She admitted that she hadn't just thrown this party for my birthday, but also so everyone could see my ex again and we could fix things between us. She literally said to me that I'd thank her later. I went mad. I said to her she had no right, that I would have been ambushed into the situation on my birthday. And this was all after I had specifically said that I didn't want a party. She just said that I was dramatic and bloody ungrateful, that she had this whole thing planned because I wouldn't find better and it was a good gift. She said everyone had gifts and traveled, that everyone was excited. So yesterday, my birthday, I completely powered off my phone and didn't let anyone know other than my best friend. So we went out for lunch and went on a walk together. Ended up having a great day. When I finally got home, I turned my phone on and it was mental. Maya was fuming, people were disappointed, people even said I embarrassed Maya. Maya is now basically saying that I ruined the whole party and made it all about me. It was literally my birthday. She says that she did it out of a good place in her heart and that I should at least apologize for not showing up and letting people know. So, am I the asshole? No, but your sister is, and she is, I think, a basic asshole. She doesn't quite get to the level of huge in my opinion, although this whole thing with inviting your ex against your will, I mean, springing the surprise party on you knowing that you don't want that is bad, but it's one thing. But like inviting the ex so that you can get back together and adding you will thank me later, and especially the part where she's like you wouldn't find any better, that's a yikesy. That's approaching a huge asshole, but I feel like she's giving just this, you know, attention hungry, selfish, arrogant, basic asshole who just is very interested in their own vision and refuse to listen when people tell them what they want and what they need. She just thinks she knows better than them what they need in their lives. I hate it. It's very, very toxic. The top comment here is, not the asshole, don't be surprised when Maya and your ex end up dating. Oh goodness, I didn't think about that. Anyway, that's settled. We are moving on to the next story. Am I the asshole for banning a relative from our house right after they donated our furniture while we were away from home? I'm still shaking while typing this. My wife Paula and I just got back from a trip. It was our first time away since our twin daughter was born. We gave my mother-in-law Hakiko a spare key just to check on things if necessary. Paula is sentimental. When her grandmother passed away, she left her 2 hand-carved mahogany pieces, a desk, and a vanity. They were Paula's absolute favorite things. Walked in yesterday and the room was empty. Hakiko was there, all smiles, saying she made a surprise for us by getting rid of that oldie dusty junk to give us a modern look. She replaced them with some cheap flat pack furniture. She literally gave away / donated Paula's inheritance without asking. Told her to leave and give me the keys. I changed the locks today. Paula has been in tears. Now the rest of the family are calling me an abusive guy and controlling for isolating Paula from her mother over some old piece of junky wood. They say Akiko's heart was in the right place and I'm being an asshole for banning a grandmother from seeing her grandkid over furniture. My wife is on my side. She agrees with the ban, but the constant guilt from her family is making me feel like a monster. Am I the asshole? No, and this just made me furious. Your mother-in-law is a huge asshole because those pieces are irreplaceable. I can't believe she would do that. It's unacceptable. I can't even imagine how much of a heartbreak it cost your wife. Also, I'm wondering how in the she didn't know how important they were. It makes me think that they might have been expensive and that she did not donate them but sell them. Am I crazy? I feel like it seems super sus that inherited hand-carved pieces went missing and got replaced by something cheap. Let's see the top comment here. Someone goes, you call the police and report the theft. You will be able to get the furniture back that way. She will have to admit to the police who she donated / sold the furniture to, and your furniture will be recovered as stolen property. Yes, I mean, she around with your property, right? And yeah, that should be counted as theft. Crazy. Huge asshole. We are moving on to the next story, which is, am I the asshole for reacting badly to my friend's religious remark at a funeral? My 24 female friend, 25 female, came to the funeral for my mom who died of cancer around Christmas time. She came over to me to give me her condolences and asked about the details of how my mom passed. I told her it was my mom's second battle with cancer and how she had lots of complications. She said, I'm so glad nothing like that has ever happened to me or my family. We're blessed and highly favored. God doesn't play about us. This made me extremely angry. I said, glad to know your God plays about my family and all the other people in the world dying of cancer. I caused a scene and got really upset. She and her family said I'm wrong for attacking someone just being kind and offering their condolences. And that's probably why God didn't look after my mom. I said I want them gone from the funeral. Since then, I haven't spoken to them or any of the people defending them. Am I the asshole? No, but this level of cruelty is unimaginable, and I feel like it just was so vile and unnecessary that I'ma call that person an evil asshole. Because to say something like that to a grieving person is straight up diabolical. The top comment here is just not the asshole. Your ex-friend is an asshole. Yeah, and all the people defending them with the that's probably why your mom died of cancer. Like, what the is wrong with you people? Jesus Christ. We're moving on to the next story. Am I the asshole for not making my daughter switch back a gifted Labubu with her younger cousin after her uncle found out the one my daughter gained in the swap is rare with a high resale value? This happened over Christmas and it's turning into a whole family drama. My daughter, Sophia, 12, and her cousin, Martina, 6, daughter of my sister Maria and her husband Jose, were gifted blind box Labubus as part of their Christmas gift from my other sister Sarah. They each opened their boxes. Martina got a brown one and Sophia got a pink one. Martina immediately wanted the pink one and Sophia immediately offered the trade because she already has the pink one and was hoping for the brown one. They traded, both girls were happy, and that was that. Or so I thought. Later, Martina's parents found out from talking to someone that the brown Labubu is apparently a rare secret version that can sell for more than 250 bucks. Once they learned that, they called me, said the girls needed to switch back and that Sophia was to return the brown one immediately. They even wanted me to drive over with it then and there, despite the fact they live an hour away and it was already 8 p.m. I asked if Martina actually wanted the brown one back. They said that wasn't the point. After some pushing back, Jose admitted someone was willing to pay him 225 bucks for the brown one and give Martina the pink one she wants. I said I wouldn't force Sophia to swap back. From my perspective, both kids were happy with the trade and got the Labubu they wanted. Sophia didn't pressure or manipulate Martina into switching. If she had, I would have stepped in immediately and told her you get what you get and you don't get upset. When I asked her, Sophia admitted she knew the brown one was rare, but when I asked how much they sell for, she said they are blind boxes, so you can't buy the brown, they just make less of them. She didn't know it was worth money. She's not a good liar and she appeared to be telling the truth. Martina originally didn't want the brown one and basically got upset when she saw Sophia got pink. It feels like Maria and Jose only want the brown one back because they can sell it and pocket money from it. Now they're upset with me and saying I'm being unfair and taking advantage of a 6-year-old, and Jose even called Sophia a manipulative which I think is a reach when Sophia didn't know it was worth a lot of money. She just knew they were rare to pull, that she already had the pink and Martina was crying for the pink one. Sarah has said this is stupid parent drama and she's staying out of it and said we can sort it ourselves. So am I the asshole for refusing to make my daughter give the brown Labubu back? Edit. Jose called Sophia a manipulative to me on the phone discussing it, not to Sophia's face. He'd be a dead man walking if he said it to her. It was said about an hour before making the post and I hung up on him for it and it has not yet been addressed. My wife and I will obviously be addressing it. I was still processing it when I made the post, but the manipulative part made me wonder if I was being unreasonable, hence making the post. Edit 2. Since I can't reply now, Sophia is trying to collect the whole set of these Labubus and her motivation for wanting the brown was to help complete the set. She has no intention of selling or trading it. After talking about it with her again, she took rare to mean it was simply harder to find in the boxes. She doesn't engage in buying/reselling. As far as I know, Jose and Maria are not in desperate need of the cash. They are not rich, sure, but to the best of my knowledge, not in the kind of financial situation where the only way to keep the lights on for the next quarter is to sell their child's gift. We are in Australia Australia. So this is in Australian dollars. Not the asshole. They are greedy, basic assholes. And Jose, separately, is a huge asshole for calling a little girl a manipulative. Like, what is wrong with him? It's your freaking niece, and you'll be calling her that, like, over money? Okay. Petty as I agree with the OP that they should focus on the gift part. So, like, they traded fair and square. They wanted to trade and they did. So, technically, that Labubu doesn't belong to the original girl anymore because, you know, they made an agreement, basically switched them. If they both are happy with their choices, then that's it. End of the discussion. They're not entitled to get it back because they found out it can sell for a bunch of money. The top comment here is not the asshole for the post, but you are seriously underreacting to your brother-in-law calling your daughter a manipulative, as is your sister. To me, that seals the deal that you are not trading it back, and your sister better say something to her husband and both better apologize to you. It doesn't matter that your daughter didn't hear it. That's genuinely what he thinks of her, and he's saying that Bio and his wife, your sister, your daughter's aunt, seems to be perfectly fine. What kind of aunt lets her husband say that about her niece and be fine staying out of it and telling the others to sort it out? What kind of mom lets these people keep interacting with her kid? I agree, but I also do have to say the staying out of it was from the sister who gifted the Labubus. So yeah, that's a bit of a mistake in here. And we are moving on to the next story, which is, am I the asshole for snapping at my uncle after he kept calling me a girl because of my hair? I'm 19 male and I have long curly hair. I've been growing it out for a few years and I take care of it. I use conditioner and I have leave-ins and curl creams for when I need a little more styling as well. The brand I use has a little silhouette of a woman on it and is technically for women. Last week my girlfriend had a really stressful week, so I cooked her dinner. My parents wouldn't be coming home till late, so I set up candles, wrote her a card, and tried to make it nice with flowers and stuff. As I was setting up, my uncle, 52, comes into the room. For context, he's bald and divorced and currently living with us. He looked around at the candles and said, "This looks like something a girl would set up." I didn't really respond, but he followed it with, "You do a lot of girly stuff for a guy." He then said, "With all that girly hair stuff too, you're really selling it." I told him to back off and he laughed and said, "Relax, don't be so sensitive." While I was setting up, he kept making small comments like, "Careful, don't break a nail," and would just randomly talk about the fact I was cooking for her and how girly that was. And I kept telling him he was real funny and making it clear I was annoyed. It started really getting on my nerves, and I said, "Why the would I take relationship advice from you? You're divorced and you can't talk about my hair when you're literally bald." He got all up in my face, got pissed immediately, and said that I crossed the line bringing up his divorce and that I was being disrespectful. And we both got in each other's faces, and he was saying some stuff about not disrespecting him, and he eventually left the kitchen. Later, my mom talked to me and said she gets why I was upset, but thinks I should apologize because he's already embarrassed about his situation and I didn't need to make it personal, and that she didn't want us to have issues, and I'm starting to think maybe I crossed the line and went too deep. No, you did not. Your mom is upsetting to me right now because you crossed the line. Like, he crossed the line. He's a f***ing bully. And good, he's embarrassed. He should be embarrassed. I mean, not of his situation necessarily, but he should be more humiliated by you because you clapped back, you stood up for yourself, and he deserved it. He is a basic asshole, approaching huge, but I still feel like he's kind of pathetic. So, you know, one of those pathetic bullies who just find value in their life by bringing others down. And I'm just gonna not wanting to give him a, you know, higher title, so he's gonna go in basic asshole category. I would apologize if he apologizes, like he acknowledges what he did wrong, and I will acknowledge I upset you, for example. But it was in self-defense though, and bullies need to learn, and that's the only way they learn. The top comment here is, do a Google search on reactive abuse. That's when an antagonist does their absolute best to provoke another person over a long period of time, and then when their target gets angry, pushes back, and retaliates, the antagonist gets all upset and plays the victim. Uncle Asshole was trying to get a rise of you, and once he did, he turned into a whiny little bitch and tattled to your mother. I would have nothing but contempt for this guy in your position, not the asshole. Yeah, they really love to do that. These people are just getting off on the fact of like pissing the out of you, and then when you mildly clap back, or like even if harshly, they're gonna milk it till the last drop, and like you will be the evil one in the end. But no, we all know what they're doing, okay? No. The next story we have is, am I the asshole for being upset that my friend planned a surprise brunch for my birthday and then charged me for my meal later? Backstory: for my birthday, my two closest friends surprised me for a brunch. I was dropped off at the restaurant with no idea what was happening, and they were there waiting. We did a brunch special. They got me a few gifts. One friend paid the bill. 2 weeks later, she charged me for the meal without saying anything beforehand. That's what bothered me. To me, if something is a surprise, it's generally assumed you're not paying unless it's communicated up front. It wasn't about the money, and I don't mind paying. It just felt weird to plan a surprise and then silently charge me after. I brought it up and said I was okay paying my share, but that it threw me off that she never mentioned it. She got defensive, said she forgot to pay for me, that I shouldn't have expected it to be covered, and that I was being entitled and ungrateful since she already did a lot. Gift, flowers, traveling to see me. She also said paying for a surprise is subjective. I genuinely was grateful and never was trying to ask for more. I just think if you plan a surprise, you either cover it or communicate expectations ahead of time. Charging someone for a surprise that you planned for them feels like giving a gift and then asking them to pay for it, and it feels like she wanted the credit for doing something for me, but wasn't willing to actually fully take care of what she planned. To me, that feels kinda off-putting and not genuine. We talked it out, but it feels like she doesn't see my side at all and says some people she asked agree with her. Is there a perspective I'm not seeing, or did she probably lie about what went down? I think her wanting me to pay in the first place was already weird, but what makes me even more confused is that when we talked it out, it seemed like she doesn't think she was wrong, which is mind-blowing to me. It seemed like she didn't see where I was coming from, when I feel like this is a worldwide unwritten rule / understanding when you plan a surprise for someone, regardless if it was for a birthday or something else. I just feel like it's hard to believe she doesn't see what I'm saying. I feel like she knew it was wrong and just didn't want to spend the money, and because I brought it up, she has to talk her way out of it. Is there a perspective I'm missing, or am I valid for being upset about this? No, you're valid, and she's gaslighting the out of you, because of course you shouldn't pay for your own birthday surprise. And yes, it's like giving a person a gift and then being like, okay, so you owe me 300 now, congrats. Like, what? No, that's not how gifts and surprises work. And it's so wild, the audacity of her, that she thinks she can gaslight you into believing that you're in the wrong here. It's nuts. I'm gonna go with her being a yikes level of asshole here. It just seems like a super weird thing to do, but like kinda minor, and there could be an explanation of, you know, the person having this like one specific weird thing that makes them an asshole, but in this situation she's just like a yikes level of asshole. I don't know. I'm still getting used to the scale, so whatever. The top comment here, not the asshole. If she's saying anyone else agreed with her, she's either lying to you or lying to them. This is the equivalent of buying a friend a gift, watching them unwrap it, and then invoicing them for it. Exactly. And we are moving on to the next story. Am I the asshole for telling my brother-in-law that I wasn't talking to him? He inserted himself to be an asshole asshole about how many books I read. I was on the couch reading and finished up a book. I took out my bookmark and set it down on the coffee table. My mom said, "What number was that?" And I said, 175. My brother-in-law was also there and said, "What is 175? I said, "As in 175th book I have finished this year." He scoffed really loudly and said, "No, you counted wrong." I said, "No, I've read 175. He said, "No, that's 4 books a week. There is no way I can read 4 books a week and I must be lying." That I was making up a number for clout? I shrugged because I really don't care what he thinks. He started saying, "Prove it," and demanding that I show him my list of books. I handed him my phone with my Goodreads. He started saying, "You aren't actually reading 175 real books. Talk to me when you're actually reading books with substance and not just brain candy, trashy smut beach reads." I think he said that because one of the books I read was literally called Beach Read. Mind you, it was one of 5 total romances I read because I don't really enjoy them. I read a little bit of everything last year. I don't really like fantasy or dystopias or science fiction, but I read a few of those too. I just like to read. Anyway, I was annoyed and I could see my mom rolling her eyes too, and I said, "Okay, well, I wasn't actually talking to you in the first place. My mom spoke to me directly. Nobody asked you." He looked at me for like 15 seconds with this pissed off look and then left. Probably an hour later, my sister came stomping by with my niece and asked me what my problem was and why I was being so rude to brother-in-law. I said he gets what he gives. She said that if I'm having a conversation in a public place in the house, then anyone has the right to join in, and if I don't like it, talk in private. Am I the asshole? You're not, but your brother-in-law and sister, who is on his side, are. I'm gonna judge him specifically, and I would say he's a yikes level of asshole. Like, I wouldn't be enjoying hanging out with that person, I'm pretty sure. Proud of you for standing up for yourself and shutting him the up. It just gives this like super insecure person, he got pissed off that your achievement is so impressive, so he wanted to bring you down. Again, bully. Yikes. Yikes, my guy. The top comment here is not the asshole, he's just mad that he can't read more than a cereal box. This comment is pure gold, and we're moving on to the next story. Am I the asshole for not corroborating my cousin's story of a seemingly paranormal experience we had as kids? Hi, I wanted to get others' opinion on this. When I was young, my cousins and I would often spend a couple of weeks at my grandparents'. I'm not saying I think something paranormal happened, of course, but one night, one of my cousins and I were up on the roof in the storage area playing, and we heard laughter and sheets rustling in a windowless room. We obviously ran crying and went to the room we were sleeping in. We hadn't told anyone because I think we weren't allowed to be on the roof that late. Since the years, decades really, have passed, both my grandparents have passed, us cousins have moved elsewhere. We were all there until Wednesday because my aunt had passed away last weekend and we stayed over. Tuesday night, after years, we were again on the roof during sunset. My cousin just pointed to the storage area and just said, "Remember what happened?" She told my wife and her mom and my mom and her brother about what had happened that night. I said it was the neighbors that probably made some noise if that's the case, but I don't remember. She got defensive and said no, it wasn't. I said we were kids then. I don't remember what happened, but logically, if that's what happened, it was probably something else we heard. While we were still on the roof, when I talked to her about something else, she was cold with me and said I made her look crazy in front of everyone. I stuck to what I said, but really, if I'd agreed, I'd have been the one sounding crazy. Am I the asshole? Yes. And the verdict generally was asshole because you do remember and you're like, if I agreed, I would be the one sounding crazy, so you were comfortable letting her look absolutely crazy, which is not necessarily true. I don't think remembering something strange and paranormal and telling about it like that makes you seem crazy. And if you would have been like, "Oh yeah, I remember and that was freaky," I'm not sure it's like anything paranormal though, because we were kids, but that was scary or something like that. That would have been a different story. But no, you were like pretending you don't remember to what safe your image as this like skeptic or whatever. I don't know. It just feels icky to me. And the top comment here is, you're the asshole because you remember the incident. Doesn't matter if you've matured into a skeptic. You lied and said you didn't remember. So instead of looking like a nut, you look like a liar. Exactly. I would be upset as well. The next story we have is, would I be the asshole? Mother-in-law creating AI photos of me. My husband and I have been together for 5 years. My mother-in-law has always been very into posting on Facebook, at least one post a day. She even used to post for my husband when he was a kid/teen. Very often, when we send her photos of ourselves, what we're doing, or anything noteworthy, they get posted on Facebook without our knowledge. Sometimes I'll go on Facebook and see photos I had no idea she had taken of us. She has around 2K followers, but posts everything completely publicly anyways. It's always made me uncomfortable, but I never thought it was a problem before now. My husband and I have been busy with new jobs and haven't been able to make the trip to see his parents together since the holidays. He's gone without me, but I have an odd work schedule. Yesterday, I got a call from my parents asking if I had made the trip to see his family. Looking at Facebook, mother-in-law had created an AI-generated photo of us watching a football game with them, all in matching jerseys. This bothered my husband too, and he offered to text his mom and ask her not to create any more AI photos of us. I've always had a great relationship with mother-in-law, and she's always been very kind and understanding, so neither of us expected her to take that poorly. She did. She told us we were ungrateful for her, that we have always hurt her feelings when we ask for no pictures, and that we, and especially me, are too sensitive and should just let her post what she wants. My husband is also uncomfortable with the way she's acting and draws the line at AI photos, but says we can deal with her normal posting habits. I thought I had a say before in what gets posted, but now I'm uncomfortable with the whole situation. Am I the asshole if I start telling my mother-in-law not to post pictures of me outside of family photos and reasonable things? No, and the general verdict is also no. Actually, if I don't specify otherwise, my verdict and Reddit's verdict is usually the same, so keep that in mind. And this is nuts. I'm giving your mother-in-law a basic asshole. Could have been a yikes, but I kind of feel like this is just such a gross infringement on your personality and like personal space and your boundaries. I just find it disgusting, and also a hate AI. I don't think it's acceptable for anyone to be creating AI pictures of somebody else and post them without their consent. That is not normal. And on top of that, she's being emotionally manipulative, and she's, you know, twisting everything into y'all being ungrateful and whatnot. And the top comment here is, not the asshole. She has an addiction to the attention on Facebook. Call her or meet up with her personally. No more photos sent to her. No more AI generated content. If she doesn't comply, we can contact so she faces consequences for her actions. Yeah, the only thing I hope is that she is not gonna turn the heat up. You know how some people, when they're being cray-cray and someone is like, please stop, they turn it up like by a few levels instead of being like, oh yes, I will. So I hope that's not going to be the case, and good luck with that. And we are moving on to the next story. Am I the asshole for not giving my sister money I've been saving even though she already told our parents I would? I'm 24 female and still living at home. I've been saving money for a few years so I can eventually move out. I don't make a lot, so it's been slow, and I've had to say no to a lot of things to build it up. My family knows I'm careful with money. My sister is 29 and has been having money problems for a while. She quit her job last year and has been picking up random work here and there, but nothing consistent. A few days ago, she came to me saying she needed help paying some bills. I told her I didn't really have money to spare. She then said she already told our parents that I would help her. I was honestly caught off guard. When I said no again, she got upset and said I'm the only one with those savings and that I can always save again later. Now my parents keep bringing it up. They aren't forcing me, but they keep saying things like I'm young, my sister is stressed, and family should support each other. The house has been awkward since then, and my sister barely talks to me. I feel bad because she's struggling, but I also feel like she assumed she was entitled to my money and didn't respect the effort it took me to save it. Am I the asshole for saying no? You're not. And I'm giving your sister a huge asshole just for the sheer audacity among everything. It's not an accident. It's not because she was stressed. No. She is entitled and she was convinced she can manipulate you and pressure you into giving her the money, and she doesn't even like see your effort and how hard it is for you. She's just like, oh yeah, no, you can save more later. She just sees you like a ATM that has to give her cash for no reason. And that argument of like, I already told our parents that you would give me the money, so give me the money, is wild. Like, it's borderline insane. The top comment here is not the asshole. Peak entitlement from your sister. Hold your ground. If you say yes now, they're going to see you as a cash cow forever, which I also agree with. The next story I have for you today is, am I wrong for accusing my girlfriend's sister of lying for attention? I guess my male 20, now ex-girlfriend Layla, female 20, has a sister, Stephanie, female 24, who works at a veterinary clinic. And the very few stories I hear on what Stephanie goes through at her workplace just sound way too crazy to believe. To be honest, I don't know how much details I can give because these stories are pretty violent. This involves her current story where apparently she had a very scary experience with a client. I'm embarrassed to admit I was proven wrong on this. It started with Layla and I planning to have a movie night together. When she came over to my dorm room, I immediately can tell she was upset, so I asked her what's wrong, and that's when she dropped the ball on me about Stephanie's interaction with the angry client. I said, really? And she told me yes, and how the cops are involved, and I guess I'm just over it with all of Stephanie's wild stories, so I went, no, really? Come on, Layla. She was getting annoyed, and I explained to her on how way too crazy her stories are, that she has been lying to get attention, and that I don't understand how you or anyone can believe her. Her defense is that she's her sister, so she clearly knows her a lot more than me. And she knows Stephanie is not a liar and has always been a sufferer in silence kind of person, and rarely talks about work. I told her that when she does talk about work, it's intense to the point of being unbelievable. Then she started coaxing me to go with her to the store to buy something, which I was confused about because we got our favorite movie snacks, so there's no reason to go to the store. Eventually, I was convinced to go with her. It was the most tense ride ever. I tried to have a conversation with her, but she just remained silent. When we got to the store, she went in alone while I stayed in the car. I was texting my friends about my confusion on what is happening with Layla. When she came back, she bought 2 boxes of cookies and she drove us to the vet clinic where Stephanie works at. Again, now she's coaxing me to go inside with her, and I just wanted to know what's going on, and she told me, you'll know when we go inside. So we did. We got to the front desk and 2 of the receptionists said, hi Layla. I thought Stephanie already clocked out. Layla said that Stephanie did and that she was here to drop off some cookies for everyone because of the incident that happened today. Receptionists were all like, oh, Stephanie told you about that. Yeah, they really scared us, and other comments that confirmed that Stephanie was telling the truth. Once we were outside, Layla just started power walking. When she got to the car, she turned around and looked at me like she's a mom waiting for her sulky kid. A woman with a dog was staring at us, and I felt even more embarrassed, so I also started power walking. Inside, we just sat in silence with her just staring at me really angry, and I said, okay, I was wrong, I'm sorry. Layla asked, do you still think she's a liar? I didn't answer right away, but I did say, well, I only know this one is true. I don't know about the others. She really hated that answer. Next thing I know, she keeps repeating, get out and get an Uber, while I tried to talk to her and calm her down, but eventually I did get out and she drove off without me. One of my friends picked me up and took me back to our dorm. I texted to Layla, just in case you care, I made it back, and she texted back, I don't care and I'm done with you. This happened a week ago. She doesn't interact with me in our classes. She's ignoring my texts and calls. She hasn't joined me at our lunch dates. Am I wrong? Yeah, you're a very yikes type of asshole. Good for her for dumping you. Also, that move with like buying cookies, bringing you in to prove you wrong was brilliant. So smart. And yeah, it's once again like with the dude and the books is giving insecure little baby who just cannot handle anyone else being like interesting or having more attention than they do because it like hurts their little feelings and their little tiny self-esteem. The top comment is only been a week. Maybe there's time to fix this. I just want to know if I'm wrong about this whole thing. Even if the entire site agreed with him, what's that going to do to salvage his relationship? Is he going to print out comments and go, see, I'm not wrong, therefore you legally have to take me back? That one was fun, and we're moving on to the next story. Am I the asshole for using my now ex after I found out he was cheating? I found out the guy I was living with was cheating on me last June. It hurt, but I couldn't afford to move out. So I swallowed my pride and let it continue. I slowly started to notice that my life was actually better. I didn't act suspicious of him at all. He got bolder and started spending nights and even weekends away. Our bedroom went dead when I stopped initiating. Honestly, fine by me. He was fine in bed, but I've had better. Got tested. I'm fine. I stopped spending money on any extras. I continued to do the shopping for the house and I used his half to top up the groceries I liked. I still made sure there was good food for him in the fridge and pantry. I stopped covering small stuff like his dry cleaning. I sold my car and started using his since he hardly used it. I put all my money into a separate account. We never really mingled our money. We only had one joint account to pay bills. It took 7 months, but I saved up almost $20,000 including the money from my car. He talked to me just after the new year about the lease in March. I was honest and told him that I was leaving him, but that I would stay until March as a roommate if it would help him out. He got very upset and said I blindsided him. I said it should be easy for him to find a roommate for our apartment. It is pretty cheap and will be located in our city. He said that he wants me out at the end of January and he will pay February by himself if I let him keep the damaged deposit. I agreed. I moved in with my sister temporarily. He also asked for his car keys back. His side piece moved in almost immediately. Whatever. I ran into them at the farmer's market where I work on the weekends. I introduced myself to her and said she must be Maggie. He asked how I knew her name. I was honest and said I had known about her for 6 months or so. Now I'm hearing from a few mutuals that I embarrassed him and threw a wrench in their relationship. He had been telling her we were just roommates and that I wasn't comfortable with him bringing women into the apartment. That is absolutely true. I would have been very uncomfortable. Anyway, he started doing the math and figured out how I funded my exit. He said if I knew, I should have confronted him so we could have ended last year. I told him to go shit in his head. Was I wrong for handling things the way I did? No, girl, you're a legend. You are going to Women's Hall of Fame. You're amazing. And he is, I feel like, a huge asshole. There's a part of me that wants to go with like evil because I do really hate this like level of cheating. I mean, cheating is awful and unforgivable in any case, but like this level of cheating when he's playing 2 women at the same time, he's like so sure of himself, so cocky that he will like around with 2 women and think he will never get caught and then find the audacity to also like confront his ex because she embarrassed him. That's so toxic and so manipulative. I don't know, maybe y'all will help me resolve this. What do you think? Is he a huge asshole or an evil asshole? Because I'm really confused on this one. Let's see the top comment. I embarrassed him and threw a wrench in their relationship. Aw, the poor darling. So sad to be embarrassed by your new girlfriend finding out you were cheating on your old girlfriend and spoiling the end of their relationship for her. Anyway, not the asshole, find better friends. Yes. I agree. Also, this part about I told him to go in his head is priceless. I wish you to find a great boyfriend who will cherish you to no end. And we are moving on to the next story. And that will be my parents, 65 female, 67 male, are livid because I'm not allowing them to see my daughter after they spanked her. Am I the asshole? For context, I live abroad and this is only the second time my family has met my daughter. My wife, 28 female, and I, 28 male, flew down for the holidays as well as an extended vacation so my daughter, 3 female, could get to see my home country, Brazil, and have a fun, different experience. We spent New Year's at my parents' with my extended family. Everything seemed to be going well until on the 3rd, my wife and I left the house to run some errands and left my daughter alone with my parents. My daughter is a very smart girl. She loves talking, she's sweet but opinionated, and we like to encourage that. We want her to know that her voice and thoughts matter and we are there to listen. My parents, however, seemed to disagree. While we were out, my mom called me telling me that my daughter was being disrespectful. I asked her what she was doing and she told me she was arguing about the cartoon they'd picked for her to watch and wanted to watch something else they didn't know. And I understand we don't always have to give kids what they want, but I don't see the harm in that, especially because I don't exactly trust whatever they choose for her due to certain ideological differences we have. So I sent her a link to a YouTube series she likes to watch and asked her to put that on instead and tell her that Dad and Mom would be back soon to talk to her. Next, my mom told me she had already taken care of it. I was confused as to what that meant, and she followed to say that she had spanked her to teach her not to argue. Needless to say, I was furious. I hung up, told my wife, and we immediately dropped everything and drove back. We do not do spanking. We have never and never will. As someone who was spanked a lot for the most unnecessary and stupid reasons, I understand it does not work and only harms the child. And yes, I had mentioned it to my parents. We had a pretty ugly argument when we arrived, but I kept my position clear. They did not have the right to do that, and I wouldn't be taking it lightly. My parents are very strict in their ways, and they refuse to apologize or even acknowledge that what they did was wrong. If not for the spanking, for doing it without my permission. Long story short, we packed the same day and left. I called the hotel for the next city we were visiting and booked a room earlier. It was about a week before we were planning to leave. I made it very clear to my parents I don't want to hear any more excuses. I sent them some articles on parenting and child abuse and told them I wouldn't be talking to them or allowing them to talk to or see my daughter again until they've read those and contacted me to apologize and acknowledge that what they did was horrible and wrong. Fast forward to now. It's been over 2 weeks and all I've heard from them are enraged complaints about how they know what they were doing because they did it to me and it turned out okay, so it must work, about how I'm being ridiculous and unfair because they were only trying to help and they don't get to see my daughter often since I live abroad. I've received calls from my sister, who is a lot like them, defending them, from my sister's husband, from his father, from 2 of my uncles, my father's brothers, even from some of my cousins. To put it shortly, what everyone is saying is that I should forgive them and forget about it because they had good intentions and they don't get to see my daughter often, so I'm being unfair. We had plans to spend a few more days with my parents in early February before our flight home, but I cancelled it. I still don't think I'm wrong, but I can partly see their reasoning behind they don't get to see her often point, though I'm still very much not inclined to yield. Am I the asshole? Nope, not in the slightest. They fully deserved it. They are remorseless, arrogant, abusive, and they enlisted the entire family to harass you. I'm gonna withhold my judgment for now because there is an update. This post got a lot more attention than I was expecting. I showed it to my wife and we decided to block everyone who has been calling/texting us about the situation. We'll enjoy the rest of our vacation in peace. Once we're back home, I'm going to call my parents and explain to them one last time why what they did is unacceptable. I will not be allowing them to be alone with my daughter ever again, and unless I can see for sure that they've learned and changed, they will not be seeing her again at all. I'll keep them muted and contact them only if something urgent happens in the family. I've also seen some comments debating hating spanking kids, and I believe this is a discussion we as humans shouldn't even be having anymore. Spanking or any kind of physical punishment is abuse, and there is never any excuse to resort to violence. If a child is too young to reason with, they won't understand why you're hitting them. If they are old enough to reason with, then reason with them. That is brilliantly put. I full-heartedly agree. My verdict here is evil assholes, because, you know, some people say that, oh, come on, they're just like older people, so they can't change and they can't understand, so we have to be softer on them and like just understand them. But like, these people are the ones that traumatized generations of kids. These are the people who use this, you know, like authority and being older, and it was a different time when we were growing up, as a shield and as an excuse to abuse us. Top comment here is your child, your rules, and by the way, they haven't seen this child since she was born, and their idea of bonding with the kids they've never really met before is to hit her. Sounds like a dumb way to develop a relationship with a toddler. The OP goes to that. Unfortunately, they don't know much about developing healthy relationships, or they believe they have authority over her, which I'm trying to make clear they don't. Good for you for blocking everyone. Also, spanking is never okay. Hitting children is never okay, or hitting anyone for that matter. Also, the reason why they spanked her, she just didn't want to watch a cartoon. Just put on a different cartoon. Like, what the is wrong with you people? Ooh, this is making me angry. Let's move to the next story. Am I the asshole for questioning my engagement after my fiance got mad at me for drinking while pregnant? Okay, so I, 22 female, recently got engaged to my fiance, 23 male. We are both still living at home to save money to eventually get our own place. I still live with my parents, but I stay at his place most nights because it's closer to work and just easier. So this New Year's Eve, we were at his parents' house with family and a few friends. Nothing crazy, just a normal family get-together. His aunt was passing out champagne to everyone and asked me if I wanted some, but before I could even respond, my fiancé reached out and took the glass. I kind of thought it was weird, but I just ignored it because he can be oblivious sometimes. I ended up just going to the kitchen and pouring myself a drink. When I got back to the living room, he immediately noticed my drink and asked pretty loudly, "Is that alcohol?" I said yes. He started getting really upset. He said he couldn't believe I would do that he thought I was more responsible and I was being reckless. I was obviously confused and asked him what he's talking about. He said something like, "You're really going to mess things up before they even start? You're going to hurt the baby." The room went quiet and I was so embarrassed. I was thinking he must be drunk or something. I asked him, "What baby?" He said he knew I was pregnant and that he'd been trying to do the right thing. He said he found a pregnancy test in the bathroom weeks ago, and that's why he's been watching what I eat and drink and why he proposed. He said he was stepping up. Then he said he didn't know if he had made a mistake, if this was the kind of mother I was going to be. I was literally so shocked and humiliated. I told him I'm not pregnant, but he just told me I don't need to lie. I'm not pregnant. I ended up leaving and coming to my parents' house that night. I haven't been to his place since. He keeps trying to reach out to me to talk about it, but I'm not ready. That brings us to last night. My fiance's mom messaged me and asked me to come over and talk. She says relationships take effort and I shouldn't ruin my relationship over a little misunderstanding. I don't know what to do. I love my fiance, but I can't stop thinking if he never thought I was pregnant, would he even have proposed to me? I'm really rethinking the whole relationship. Nah, you're not the asshole. This is absurd. Like, he proposed first and never talked to you. I don't understand this logic of like, he created his own cinematic universe in his head, right? Without actually confirming things. And why on earth did he not talk to you about whether you're pregnant or not? I just don't understand. And the behavior is horrible, like asshole-ish, taking glasses from you and then getting hysterical in front of his entire family over a thing that you never even talked about. Like, this is just so strange to me. I'm gonna reserve judgment until after the update, and the update is, so a bunch of comments are asking about the pregnancy test my fiance found. I don't know why I didn't even question that when he said it. I think I was just in shock. I've never taken a pregnancy test at his house, so I don't know if he saw something and thought it was a test or if he's being crazy and making it up. I just messaged his mom back and I'm going to go over there to talk and figure out what I want to do. I do really like his family and I still love my fiance or boyfriend. I don't know what to call him now. He's never really done things to make me worry before, so I want to at least listen before I throw everything away. I posted the recent update to Redditor updates. Okay, we're gonna go hunting to see if there is another update, but first, top comment. Bigger question, who in your house is pregnant? Because obviously he is not ready for marriage or kids if he's going to find something like that and not have an actual conversation with you. As such, you don't need to be with him. True, and I was also wondering about the test, like if she doesn't know where it came from, and the update made me just more confused, because if it wasn't her, then who was it? Okay, there is an update. Yesterday, I went over to my boyfriend's house, and it did not go as expected. I honestly don't even know what I was expecting, but after reading some of your comments about whose test it was, or if it even was a pregnancy test, I had to find out. My boyfriend was really happy to see me when I got there. I don't think his mom told him I was coming. He seemed really genuine and kept apologizing. His mom asked us to sit down and she started crying and saying she doesn't want to ruin our relationship and she loves both of us and wants the best for us. Then she shows us a sonogram. It was his mom's test. Literally all of this stupid drama because my boyfriend is an idiot. He said he didn't think his mom could get pregnant anymore because she is in her 40s, so the only other possibility was for it to be mine, but he didn't want to ask me so I could tell him myself. I love surprising people, so honestly that does make sense. But like, it had been weeks. He could have said something after all that time. His mom said she didn't say anything at the party because she didn't know what she was going to do yet and didn't want everyone at the party finding out. But it still bothers me that she let me take the embarrassment instead. Or at least tell us after in private instead of letting us not talk for over a week. I do kind of feel bad now that my boyfriend really thought I was pregnant and thought I wasn't taking it seriously. I talked to him about the engagement and if he meant what he said about stepping up. He said he had already had the ring for a while but was waiting for the right time, and when he saw the test he thought of it as a sign and got excited thinking of us as a little family. He says he only said what he said at the party in the heat of the moment, thinking I was someone who would risk our baby like that, and he didn't actually mean it. I think I believe him. As of now, we aren't engaged anymore, but we're still together. I told him we really need to work harder on communication if we want to make our relationship last. A lot of comments were saying he's a red flag and stuff, and I can see where you're coming from, but this was really the only time he's been like that. I think his intentions were sweet, but came off wrong. Also, a lot of people saying we're too young to get married, but my parents got married young and are still together, so I think it depends. If we do get engaged again, I told him to actually wait until he's ready and not when he thinks he needs to. Okay, that is some plot twist. Very interesting. Very curious. I dropped my rating from huge asshole to yikes. I'm gonna go with yikes because I just really hated the way he handled this, and I actually also thought about this from the start of the post that he might have wanted for her to tell him, because pregnancy announcements can be fun, creative and stuff like that, but at the same time it's been weeks. He's been waiting around for weeks. The situation with the fact that he already had the ring and was waiting to propose makes things a lot better, because I got pissed off when I read that he only proposed because she was pregnant, or he thought she was pregnant. I hope y'all will figure this out. Still, yeah, yikes for the way he reacted at the party and not talk to you. And we are moving on to the next story, which is, am I the asshole for refusing to pay off my pregnant fiance's parents' mortgage when they are under the threat of foreclosure when I could easily afford to do so? About 2 years ago, I, 31 male, met my fiance, 26 female. We have a baby on the way. The due date is in May. I also have a 10-year-old son from a previous relationship. I'm a professional musician. My band has a sizable local/regional following. I also privately teach different instruments to mostly children and do music production for some significantly bigger musicians/bands. About 3 weeks ago, my fiancé got a call from her mother. My fiancé is the oldest of three and her younger siblings are in college. Her mom informed her that they received a letter that the acceleration clause was being invoked on their mortgage due to months of non-payment, and if they do not pay it off by late February, the house would be foreclosed on. The house had belonged to my fiance's grandmother before it was inherited by my fiance's parents about 15 years ago when her grandmother died. The house was paid off, but they took out a mortgage on it because they needed the money. My fiance lived in the house since she was 2 years old. My fiancé has asked me to use my savings to pay off the house. It would be about 15% of my savings to do so. I have a sizable amount of savings. Despite my parents not wanting me to go into music, or at least wait until I graduated college, I went into the music industry full-time from the time I graduated high school. It has largely worked out for me, but knowing the ebbs and flows of the industry, and especially with having a kid so young, I have been very vigilant about savings. Having a substantial savings account is important to me, given my kids have one on the way, and want to potentially have a third, because I want to be able to pay for college and help them buy a house. Things my parents could not dream of doing. Also, you never know when times are going to be lean as a musician. This is why I'm hesitant to want to pay off their mortgage. Additionally, I'm concerned about their setting precedent that I bail out the family. My fiancé is quite upset about the whole situation. She says we would not be hurting at all if I pay it off, and I have no reason to think that I will not continue to make the amount of money I have made in the last couple of years. If anything, there's a good chance it will go up. She sees it as I could easily pay it, but I'm refusing to do so. I see it as protecting our long-term financial stability. If a foreclosure happens, her parents will get the equity they have in the house and be able to afford a different place. While I know she's emotionally attached to that particular house, I do not think it is wise to sacrifice our financial stability for that reason alone. Her parents need to be in a place that they can afford. Am I the asshole? No. No, you sound very financially savvy, stable. You worked hard for everything you've saved, and their irresponsible financial decisions should not be your problem. That's it. They, together with your fiance, are being kind of basic assholes in this situation because they're acting entitled and they're not acknowledging, once again, how hard you must have worked for those money, and they are treating it like not a big deal. Well, it is a big deal. I hope you're gonna be able to resolve this, but things like these unfortunately leave a lot of resentment. Usually there's nothing better to ruin the family relationships than money. I don't know, man. I don't like the attitude. I don't like the attitude of feeling entitled to somebody else's money. That's it. The top comment here is not the asshole. These folks had a paid off house. They mortgaged it to spend money they didn't have. Then they didn't pay the mortgage. You absolutely shouldn't spend your money, not our money, as your fiance says, to fix this. You don't want to create the expectation that you will be their ATM. Your fiance and her family can work together to figure this out. You should consider getting a prenup. If your fiance handles money in a similar manner to her parents, you might be better off to maintain separate finances. All so true. You're not even married yet. She already feels entitled to all of your money and to controlling them. So, I mean, I am all up for mixing finances and, you know, treating it like our money if you're married, or even if you're just like engaged or dating for a long time. But there is our money, and then there is acknowledging how much of that our money is his earned and saved and yours earned and saved. There has to stay this like kernel of reason when it comes to finances, even if you are saying our money. Anyway, moving on to the next story, which is, would I be the asshole for ruining my son's teacher's career? My 32 male, son, 6, has autism. He is very high functioning, is very smart and kind, has an annoyingly good memory. Honestly, the kid doesn't forget a thing, and most importantly, to this post, he does not lie. So I picked my son up from school the other day, and he gets in the car and I put his music on that he likes, and we didn't talk on the drive like he prefers, so he can have some peace after the day. When we got home, like he normally does, he started to chat and tell me about his day, and that's when he said, "Dad, what's a read?" I was shocked and said, "Sorry, mate," and he repeated the question. I said, "It's a very nasty word that we don't say, buddy. Did you hear it at school?" He then tells me that his teacher said it with a whispered voice, so under her breath, today. I, struggling to stay calm, asked what was happening at the time, as I wanted a fuller picture. He said she was trying to help him with his work and he didn't understand what she meant. I, at the stage, was holding back tears, as this was always a fear of mine and my wife, but we never expected him to be called this word by someone we had trusted to take care of him. We went in the house to my wife and she asked him how was his day, and he repeated his question to her. We both teared up and we had a big chat with him about it, and his story didn't change. I'm now thinking of going to the school and reporting her and pushing for her to be fired. So would I be the asshole? Quick edit. 1. This was on the last day of school before Christmas holidays and we go back in 10 days, so he will have a new teacher. In Australia, when someone says the other day, it can be anything from a few days ago to months ago. It's a phrase. 3. Didn't post earlier as I haven't been on Reddit all that long. You wouldn't be the asshole. This person should not work with children at all. It's giving evil to me purely because you don't say something like that to a child. Like, you just don't say something like that. Even if you whispered it and thought he wouldn't hear, even if you were like really tired, even if you were having problems, like, you just don't say anything like that around a child, okay? No, and it's absolutely unacceptable. That's it. The top comment is not the asshole. If she's in a union, she probably won't get fired, but she definitely needs to be held accountable for that inappropriate behavior. If you wouldn't let a stranger act that way towards your child, a teacher shouldn't be let off the hook either. The teacher should have even more consequences because they're the teacher. And the next story I have for you is, am I the asshole for continuing on with my plans to go on a boys trip despite my girlfriend's protests? I, 25 male, am having a serious issue with my girlfriend Heidi, 26 female. In short, we've been together for just under 2 years now and things have gone well, with this being the first fight we've had. My friend Jason is planning a trip to Bangkok, Thailand, and my friend Austin is also going. They invited me and it's for 2 weeks in May. I, of course, said hell yeah. I've gone on trips with Jason before to Amsterdam, Vegas, and Denver, and always had a blast. Granted, these trips were before I got together with Heidi. So I tell my girlfriend that I'm planning this trip with Jason, and she goes a bit silent and just says, okay. I think that's a little off, but we continue hanging out. The following day, she's at my place, and she says that she doesn't want me spending 2 weeks in Bangkok with my friends. I ask, why not? Bangkok is one of the most traveled to cities in the world, and she went on a trip abroad at the beginning of the relationship to Barcelona with a friend herself. She says it's not the same because she was going for a specific event in Barcelona and Bangkok doesn't have the best reputation. I said she's being rather controlling and I've been nothing but loyal to her up until this point, so it's a bit strange for her to want to stop me from taking part in a really cool experience with my friends. She asked what I could possibly want to do in Thailand, and when I pulled up a pretty exhaustive list, she asked me to stop and said she was so uncomfortable. I told her I'm going no matter what. That did not go down well. She accused me of not caring about how she felt. I told her I cared very much about how she felt. It just didn't supersede how much I wanted to go on this trip. If it mattered so much that she could control a partner, I was not that partner. We fought for a little while before she stormed out of my apartment. She texted me saying she wants an apology and to talk more. Am I the asshole? I don't feel like I am. Well, clearly. But you are a regular one, basic one, I feel like. You seem oblivious, or You perfectly know what you're doing and how all of this looks, and you're just trying to manipulate everybody's opinion, including your girlfriend's. Because, buddy, Bangkok, Vegas, Amsterdam, what all three of those things have in common? Sex workers. These cities are famous for the amount of sex workers that are available there and for the, level to which the industry is developed. So it's super sus that like all of your boys trip locations are those, okay? Because it doesn't seem like you will be visiting a lot of museums over there, but it does seem like you are going to be enjoying certain sites. I feel like this post should be somewhere over on MIDX. The top comment here is OP's gone very quiet, of course. I am not surprised. And the next story I've got is Am I the asshole for telling two ladies to eat at home? I was eating at a certain breakfast diner with my friend today. The restaurant wasn't super busy, but it was maybe half full. My friend and I get seated in a new row in the booth behind two old ladies. Right as we sit down, even before the waitress comes to take our orders, these old ladies began complaining to each other about our volume and how I'm leaning too much on the booth seat and making it wobble. Fine, I sit slumped forward. It's the least I can do, and it's not that hard an ask. I don't think I'm being very loud, just talking regularly as opposed to a whisper since, it's a diner, not a black tie steakhouse. The waitress takes our orders and my friend and I began talking about work, games, just chatting. On and on, these ladies are complaining over to each other. We're too loud, we shouldn't be talking at such volume in public. Don't kids, we're in our 30s, know about volume and politeness in public. Their waitress comes over and they say everything is good. Then talk about how they should ask to be moved, how the food is taking too long, why won't we stop talking while we're eating. It's been maybe 30 minutes non-stop of them complaining, but they never turn around to ask us anything. They never mention anything to the waitress, just saying how rude some young people, men and women, are, how we can't behave in public and be ashamed of ourselves. Another 30 minutes go by and we get our check first, pay, and stick around to talk more. It's fun being in a diner and chilling with my friend. We don't see each other often. These old ladies get mad we don't leave after paying, and how dare we stay to keep being so loud. They get their check, their waitress asks if they need anything else, they say no and get up to leave. I stand up, introduce myself to them, and let them know I did not appreciate being insulted through my entire meal, and if they wanted somewhere quiet to next time ask to be moved, ask us to be quiet or go home. Of course, they just say if we want to be loud, to go home, and I say that we weren't being loud, it's fine to have conversations in public, and it's incredibly rude to talk about the person you're sitting right behind and insult them for an hour. I tell them goodbye and just sit back down. My friend thinks I was in the right, since they also felt we weren't being loud. The waitress and restaurant workers were confused because they hadn't noticed anything and also thought we weren't being loud. I'm really just here to see if it was appropriate for me to tell them to eat at home if they wanted a private, quiet meal next time, or if that's a social blunder. Was I the asshole here? No, but they're like yikesy assholes. Some people just like to complain and being dicks, but you see, this is funny because these are like cowardly assholes. They know you can hear them, right? But they are banking on the fact that you will be too awkward or intimidated to come up to them and stand up for yourself. Super good for you that you did stand up for yourself. People like that need to be called out. The audacity actually comes from, not expecting anyone to call them on this bullshit. Anyway, the top comment here is not the asshole. They put on a performance, but you gave an ovation worthy closing act. Kudos to you. True. And we are moving on to the next story, which is am I the asshole for telling my sister her boyfriend boyfriend isn't welcome at gatherings unless he gets therapy. Okay, so to start off, my sister has been dating this guy, let's call him Leo, for about a year and a half. At first, I liked the guy. He was funny, kinda nice, I guess. We all worked at the same restaurant. I met my husband there, she met Leo. About a month into their relationship, my sister started acting strange. No one at work liked her or her boyfriend. They constantly broke rules and got away with it. She was rude to everyone. Every time she was on shift, people would be upset or annoyed. No one wanted to work with either of them. The whole time as well, my sister's boyfriend is a complete jerk to my husband and I, calling us names, pushing me around, calling me a B word when I asked him to do his job. It was getting to be an issue, and whenever I confronted my sister, she would say, "He's not like this with me, I'll talk to him." Little backstory on me: I was trapped in a narcissistic relationship for 8 years, so I knew the signs well, and that was one of them. His behavior only worsened over time. When my husband and then my sister left that job, her boyfriend remained for a bit. He then rubbed himself up behind an old friend of mine and was fired for it. My sister took his side, obviously, and I took my friend's because he had done it to other people. Of course, the cameras didn't show anything, but he still was fired. During the entire relationship, no one could stand them. Leo has made many derogatory comments about my family, my husband, my parents, and I'm getting sick of it, to the point of telling my sister he isn't welcome in my home whatsoever. Maybe that was a jerk move, I don't know, but I don't want that behavior around my daughter. In September 2025, I was over at my sister's apartment and I noticed later in a TikTok we took she had bruising on her upper arm, and she told me before Leo has anger issues. Flash forward to November 2025, we have Friendsgiving. Leo caused so many problems he actually nailed one of my best friends directly in the face with a hard roll of bread, and when she got on him, he got all angry. Her boyfriend confronted him, my husband's best friend confronted him. Leo was warned several times to behave or he would be removed. Also, did I mention he wouldn't leave my sister alone to even talk, and he doesn't listen when she says no. She's not a super touchy person and he's all over her all the time, even when she says no. One time I tried to talk to her about something that didn't concern him at all and he got all up in my face about it. My sister says she talks to him about his constant behavior, but he never changes. So after Friendsgiving, all our friends at the event came to me separately begging me to not invite him again. I was the unlucky one who had to tell my sister that unless Leo fixed his behavior, he wouldn't be welcome whatsoever. The conversation actually went over well with that part with her, but when I brought up the fact he acted a lot like the narcissist who abused me for 8 years, she called me an asshole. To end the story, I stood my ground and said unless he goes to therapy, he isn't welcome. This is a nightmare. Your sister needs rescuing and help, because this is gonna escalate into something so bad, with the likelihood of like 99.9%, because people like that usually do, and people like that, I mean abusers. And I'm gonna hold the judgment till after the edit, which is I spoke to my sister within the last day and we talked about it more. I told her who Leo reminds me of, and she also knew the person I was with and how bad it was. She said he's trying to change, and within the same sentence she said she can't be his emotional support / therapist anymore. I think he's wearing her out, because before, when she and I would talk about it, she would scream at me and get upset that how dare I call him out. Now she just nods and says she understands the frustration and that none of our friends want to be around him. But at the same time, whenever he's around her in public, she acts very mousy. Basically, she isn't herself when he's around. I will gently tell her all the things you all suggested. My parents also do not like this guy, but they tolerate it. Otherwise, my sister used to scream at them about it. I know this may also be just my experience, but he gives her a ton of lavish gifts and she always feels bad about not being able to return the favor sometimes, which I told her you shouldn't have to feel bad about not being able to afford as nice gifts. You still put thought and heart into them. She said he brings it up a lot how she gives him less nice gifts, but I know she really tries. I also know she wasn't comfortable with physical intimacy at first and he pushed it a little even though she swears he didn't. I witnessed it. About any of the questions about why push for therapy, the reason therapy was my first choice was because she had said he had thought about going and she encouraged it. She is in therapy herself, thankfully, but I don't know how much she tells her therapist. I wish I could post a picture of them on here, but every picture with him, her face looks like a trapped animal. And he's always like grabbing onto her or physically holding her tighter than a person should. My husband's best friend is the son of 2 police officers, and ever since he was a kid, they've taught him how to notice things like domestic abuse. He also knows my sister and her boyfriend personally and says there's definitely stuff in there, but because my sister won't say, we don't know. I'm unsure of what else to do because her boyfriend isn't a good guy, and my sister should have left him when she said she was going to. Oh, one more thing. He rings up a lot that he's gonna marry her, which in innocence would be fine, cute, whatever. But my sister looks so unbelievably uncomfortable when he says it. Oh my god, get her out. Like, you need to stage an intervention. I don't care. Lock her up in the basement. Okay, don't do that, but you know what I mean. Help her, please, because this is a nightmare. He is definitely on the evil asshole level because he sounds like a classic abuser. And the top comment here is not the asshole. I really appreciate you trying to protect your sister. She should walk out of this relationship. He is a complete narcissist. Very true. And we are moving on to the last story, thankfully, because my voice is giving out and it's getting super dark outside, but I'm determined to finish this last one. So let's go. Would I be the asshole if I tell my cousin her significant other is a creep? So basically, my 17 cousin, female 24, got married to a guy 28 a few months ago. 5 days ago, they were in our city for attending a function, and so my parents invited them, and they're going to stay here for 2 weeks. So here's what her husband has done since the last few days to creep me out. 1, barged into my room at like 2 a.m. to ask for water. He knows where the kitchen is, and the problem is that wearing shorts outside my room is not allowed. I have to wear full-sleeved shirts and pants. And my parents specifically told him to wake them if he needed anything. So basically when he came in, I was in shorts and my parents scolded me for some reason. Like, why was I not covered up in a blanket? 2, then we were at a mall and he was like he saw some dress that would suit me. We were there mainly for my cousin's shopping, but he didn't even help her select one dress. But I didn't want to buy anything, so I told him no. He grabbed my wrist tightly and tried to drag me to the shop. It took me 2 whole minutes to get my hand free. I was scared but didn't tell anyone. 3, then one day they also had a plan to go for go-karting, and he loves these activities very much. Basically he, my cousin, my parents, and my younger brother were gonna go. I was staying at home alone because of the exams. As soon as he gets to know that he wants to stay home just because he doesn't feel like going, it's literally one of his favorite things to do. And as I was already creeped out, I decided to go to my friend's place to study. Now he suddenly wants to go again. 4, this was the last straw. So basically yesterday we were all at the function, my family, my sis, and her husband. And I was wearing a lehenga. This is a garment in which midriff and mid-back is not covered. So the buffet had just started and the creep came to inform me this. And he was like, let's go there together. And you know what he did next? He put his hand on my back, like on my skin, where there was no covering by the cloth, gripped tightly, and then pulled me by my waist. I was so shocked. Like here, men and women, even touching publicly is a big no-no. So him doing this is really ... And there was no need to touch me and pull me like that. I was agreeing to go with him anyways. I went straight to my mom and I told her everything. And I also wanted to tell my cousin she deserves to know what he's doing. But my mom said that I should keep quiet and try to stay away away from him. She says that we don't want to create unnecessary drama and fights between them. And when I told my father, he said I was overthinking it and he probably didn't do it with any bad intention, and maybe his thoughts are just a bit modern. He doesn't let his younger sister work outside, so yeah, very modern. So should I tell her? Yes, it may cause an argument, or even she won't take me seriously. Would I be the asshole if I tell her all these things that have happened, or am I overthinking it? This is for sure borderline evil asshole. It sounds very sus, like very, very sus. It's pretty obvious what he's doing, and I don't even want to go there. Like, oh my god, this is disgusting, and you should absolutely tell your cousin because she deserves to know who she's with. The top comment here is not the asshole. If you don't tell your sister, her future daughters might bear the consequences. Be safe and be very thoughtful about your approach when bringing up this conversation with your sister. So that dude sucks. And we are up to the final round because we're out of stories, and we've got in the evil tier asshole that person who said the f***ed up thing at the funeral, then Leo, the abusive, and then this guy, the attracted to minors. Now I'm struggling. In the last two stories, we're dealing with things that are going on over a long time and might have so much more detrimental impact on the lives of people involved. So I'm gonna be choosing between Leo and the in the last story, and I think I'm choosing Leo as asshole of the month because in the last story they at least have a chance of getting rid of him, and things didn't go down yet into the pits of hell. He's just testing boundaries for now, and he might be too cowardly to act on any of the things that he's clearly thinking. It's not to say that his behavior is anything but horrific. He's obviously trying to abuse and groom this minor, and he is disgusting. But Leo still, for me, like 1 degree wins just because with him, he's been terrorizing this poor girl and everybody around him for such a long time. There's so much proof. There are so much incidents. There are so much up things that he did, like he sexually assaulted a girl at his work. He clearly hits his partner. People like that should be isolated from society. So yeah, in my opinion, he's the asshole of the month. He wins. Yay. Horrible person. Let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree with my verdict, with the rating. I would love to hear your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you with the next one at some point in the future. Bye.